Hello, 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 all my machine heads, and welcome back to Meadow Grove Farm Extended. We are back here on our last field to fertilize, and then we're going to drag out the cultivator, and we're going to start cultivating our two fields as we watch our balloon fade away into the cloudiness. So how's everybody doing tonight? I'm doing great. I'm doing awesome. I'm doing fantastic. I hope you all are too. And as we jump into our tractor, I want to, like I said, I apologized for my last video due to the flood that we had, and we are all cleaned up as a heads up. And we are ready to go. Let's get into this as I switch screens. So how's everybody doing tonight? I already asked that, so that's kind of redundant. Welcome, everybody, to the Realistic Farming channel for Farming Simulator 19, where we use our real tractors, we use our real equipment, we have our realistic tutorials, and we have a real lot of fun. I've kind of gotten used to saying that second now, so let me put my controller down, because as promised, I am using my steering wheel for the remainder of this Let's Play. It was funny because I signed on originally and started recording, and my sim dashboard didn't work, and it was driving me insane. I forgot how much I've become addicted to this thing. Absolutely crazy. Yep, we're going to finish this. We're going to drag out the cultivator like I said in the beginning entrance. And we are going to hopefully get at least the upper field cultivated, if not partly cultivated in this episode. But once these fields are cultivated, then we're ready to seed. So then all we have to do is get to our temperature that we need for the ground, and we can seed. But I want to thank each and every one of you for liking and subscribing. We've had a jump in this channel. I want to welcome every single one of you to the channel that's new. Every single one of you who has not watched my videos before. I love to teach farming. As I was explaining to Farmer Z, who is a new subscriber, I was a dairy farmer for the better part of my youth. It was not actually my farm. It was my pop's farm, my dad's, and I just worked on it. But many a moon, as you all know, many of the returning subscribers already know that. But for you new people, I wanted to catch you up on it. I worked the farm up until I was probably mid to late 20s. So the better part of 25 years at least. Learning how to run all the equipment, learning how to do all the stuff. And then I decided to go away to college for computer graphics. And that's what I have a degree in. So there we go. That's pretty much it. But Farmer Z is a new subscriber, as I said. Make sure you guys go over and check out his channel. He's new beginning, but he does farm sim time lapses. He does farm sim realism videos. He was asking a bunch of questions, so keep him out there and get him going, just like you guys have gotten me going. And take a look at his channel, because I'm sure I watched like 3 of his videos, and I'm sure he's gonna do farm sim good. This is weird. Also, I'm running my steering wheel and pedals with shoes on tonight. It's really weird because I usually either go barefoot or I'm in socks. This is really weird. Like, you can really mash down the gas pedal. But yeah, with the a little update with that nor'easter that we had, as I explained in yesterday's video, we got dumped about 4.5 to 5 inches of rain within a matter of about 6 to 7 hours. So our local river can get to 18 feet before it gets to flood stage, and we shot up to, in about 4.5, like I said, about 4.5, 5 hours, we shot up all the way up to like 22 feet. So the people who were living on the local river were experiencing flooding, like it was moderate flooding. And I'm on what's called, I don't know if you guys all know what this is, but my house was built as I explained, probably mid to late 1800s. And they didn't have all the cool looking things, that technology that we have nowadays where they can judge. So my house was built what's called on the floodplain. And what a floodplain is your underground, if you have a basement on your house, is equal to the river or the creek or creeks, however you guys want to say it. I say creek. But so when the creek near me raises, I live probably about 200 yards away from a local creek that probably, it could get pretty deep. It could probably get 10, 15 foot deep before it actually, I mean, if you think about that in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty deep. Before it starts to go, we have a flood wall also that the neighbors had built. It's a, because they got tired of it flooding. So the banks, they dug out, the town came in and dug it out, and then we all catered together and built this flood wall that's 4 feet high. So, and realistically, the river can get to 18 feet before it floods, and we can get to about 14 or 16 before we flood. And so what happens is, because my house is built on a floodplain, my basement goes even with the water table. So basically what happens is every time that raises, I get water in my basement, which is fine. I have 2 sump pumps, and I usually am pretty good about keeping them up to date and what's going on. They're submersibles, so we always keep track of them. Every year, pretty much, I buy a new one. So when I noticed that when that creek by my house gets to about 12 feet, I start taking water in my basement. So all was well and fine until it reached about 14, 16 feet. And then all heck broke loose, and it came in faster than I've ever seen it in my entire life. I mean, it was absolutely insane. I have everything in my basement, aka cellar. I had refinished at one point, but I've done since gotten rid of everything in my basement because it continues to flood. We took all the drywall out, we took everything. So all that's down there now is just the cement walls from my foundation. Now, I want to keep and let you guys a little heads up about how it's set up. Is my basement is 9 foot high. Okay? Let's just say it's pretty tall. You could almost put a basketball rim down there if you wanted. It's pretty tall because it was refinished, like I said. It was all done. Owning my own construction business for years, I went ahead and refinished it. Well, that's all gone. And so my hot water tank, everything's down in there now. I've moved that back down in the basement. It was up on the first floor, and it went so high. I have my hot water tank probably about 7 feet off the ground. It shot up to where it went over my hot water tank. That's how quickly it came up. I was like, oh, and that was literally, we got this rain, like I told you guys in the beginning, like in a 4 or 5 hour period. So it wasn't even funny. It came down. It came down in buckets, as they say. It looked like, to me, it looked like someone had turned a shower on and then plugged up the bathtub and then just let it run for like 4 hours. That was how fast it was coming in. So I dealt with that debacle and, mud up and down, up and down, up and down. So that's why the story came about why I'm wearing shoes tonight, because I spent probably last 2 hours down there squeegeeing and cleaning up, making sure everything's all done and dry, making sure we put the dehumidifier down there so that it dries it all out so we don't get any mold or anything like that. But it's the fun of living on a floodplain. You deal with it every year. Every year the snow melts. I don't know how my dad ever dealt with it. When you're young and you're a kid, you don't see that stuff. Your dad just does it, fixes it. As I got older, but when Dad passed away, we got the house. It was, you realize the amount of work that Dad always put into this house. All right. So, just like that, let's pick up my handy-dandy controller, and we'll go soil competition. As you can see, we are dark and dark. On 20 and 18 are ready to go. All I have to do is cultivate them. That one's ready to go now. Cultivate that, and then we're going to go up and we're going to cultivate this and fertilize it one more time. And then our 3 fields are ready. Now, tomorrow, we can give this a second. This is 15 as a grass field. We can give this a second layer of fertilizer before we mow it. Because remember, as I told you guys yesterday, I flipped over to 3-day seasons. And now we're going 3-day seasons. So instead of 6, because another subscriber who's new said, well, if we play it, it would represent a month, which is true. So there we go. So we are, let's get to the plant stage here. Okay, so none of these, let me get my mouse out. Once this turns white, since we don't have a HUD on anymore, we'll be able to plant wheat. So once we reach 41, which I'm assuming probably by the better part of tomorrow we should, because then we'll be way over here, and we only got 3 days to plant our crops anyways. I'm thinking of going my rotation and then throwing a field of corn in, and that sort of thing. And anyways, let's get back to the farm. Wash this equipment up. Oh, this is so weird with shoes on. Mash down the gas pedal. Let's get back to the farm. We'll wash the tractor off. We'll put her in the garage. We'll do some tinkering around on some of the fenders and stuff and make sure that the tractor's running. We'll check the oil, all that stuff, get it all set up. And then we'll hook her up to the cultivator and we'll head up to field 20. But yeah, one of the new subscribers was, oh, and I also wanted to give you guys a huge thanks. Thanks for putting in the comments about what you're working on and stuff. We had one of the new subscribers recently put that they're working on a dairy farm and that they're doing this and doing that. And that means the world to me when I can get on and see what other people are doing and catch up. And if you guys have any questions, it's nice. It's nice. So he's working on, he usually only plays on, or she, I don't know, I'm not quite sure, but he or she is playing on only British maps and stuff, which is kind of cool in itself. I mean, I play on all maps. I saw Farmer Klein, I think, had a kind of a aerial tour of the new Farm Sim 22 maps. If you get a chance, bop over and see Farmer Klein's video on it. Ooh, look up the dirty tractor. Love it. Well, like I said, you would never wash this hook to the tractor because of the hoses. It would get all wet and yucky and blah, blah, blah. But we're going to simulate that this is ready so I can not make 2 trips. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the tutorials and how things work. If, like I said, as I explained to Farmer Z today in the comments, if you got any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. And like I said, just because we did it a certain way doesn't mean other farmers do it that way, because every farmer has their own hand-me-downs from start to finish, and some of the old timers teach it a different way. This is just how we did it. It's not etched in stone. That's how it's done. You know how it works. We also have noticed that the big commercial farmers do it way different. Okay, so the weights, apparently you can't repair them until they're down a certain spot, right? That's what I'm assuming on this game, right? There's that. It only cost us $30 to repair our tractors, just because Fury's got a bunch of bolts and stuff laying in here, so whatever we had to fix. All the fenders are tight. All the tires are tight. Weights are tight. The tires got a lot of wear left on it, so a little wear spot there on it. Yep. Right by the Trelleborg sign, there's a wear. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. Got a little wear spot on it. We're going to have to be careful with it. I'll go ahead and order some tires for that. All right, so let's unhook this fertilizer spreader right next to where we're at, and we'll head over with the cultivator. And down. And back. It sounds like a workout video. And down and back and down and back. And off we go. Now, I do have a front loader attacher to this tractor, but I went ahead and I bought a telehandler anyway, so that we don't really need it. That gives a weird thing when you jump out, because that pole's there. Look at the textures on the pole. That is absolutely great. All right, got our hoses hooked up, double checked. Now this cultivator it's from the in-game mod hub. It's the Knockerling 6. Get our tractor back down there. There we go. It's got some weight to it, everybody, so just be careful if you don't. And we're hooked. I knew we were going to be. I knew it when I parked it in there. Yep, I'm going to have to find a different shed to put this in. It's too small over there. Just too small. There. Now he's bumped that. Make sure our hoses are all working correctly. And I'm really glad you guys are... As I take out my water tower here. I'm really glad you guys are enjoying the series, and I sure as heck am. Because we're at 5:21. This will be the final episode of this day. When we come back on tomorrow's episode, we're going to go to sleep. Well, we're going to probably go over to go to sleep at the end of this episode. And then we can start out a fresh day. This is weird, too, because I was playing Truck Sim. And I had my force feedback on. And it's like... turning it. This one is like... nah, 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 nah. Because there's no force feedback in Farm Sim. I can whip around corners going 90 if I want, but... Now, as I explained to you guys before, whenever you're doing field work, you want to do your headlands last, because you don't want to... You want to not drive over it for soil compaction. Now, we didn't follow that exactly with fertilizer, only because I knew I was going to cultivate this. And it would really affect... Ooh, look at the weight we got on that one. It would really, really, really affect being able to plant, because the ground would be all compacted with, tractors weighing as much as they do, squishing down as much. So... I had a mod at one time that was the soil compaction mod, but I got rid of it because it was conflicting with too many things. Let's get this unfolded. But if you did, whoever made that mod did an awesome, awesome, awesome job telling step on my controller cord. Telling what the fields do. Boy, doesn't 10 miles an hour feel fast? Yep. This thing has got some weight. I might have to turn to a different cultivator. Because I got a 750-pound weight on this thing, and it's picking me up like I'm sitting still. Turn around here, see where we're at here. At 10 miles an hour seems super fast, doesn't it? Boy, hard for me to get the... Hard for me to get the speed going again once I stop. Yeah, like I said, I'm doing a wheelie. All right, so this will be the last headland up here. Check where we're at. There. So I might have to look into getting a smaller cultivator. It might be just too heavy for this tractor, this little baby tractor we have here. Go up. This field has a little bit of a square section to it right here. Nice if I wasn't hitting the gas pedal at the same time, huh? There, we have enough room to go all the way back with this. Lower her down. And off we go. If you guys get a chance, download the real mod, the real weights mod, weights and measurements. As you can see, that what it does for the tractor's physics is amazing. It's so, you see I could turn. So realistic. That was at the end of the field, but that's okay. We won't be driving over that until we're done. So what I do, or what most farmers do, is they go right to where their wheels touch the edge of the field, bidding, or just off of it, and then you raise it up. As you can see, it puts you just about the width of one level of your cultivator, one width. So you can pretty much make one pass around the end of the field. Sometimes you got to make two, but as you can see, Farmer Z, if you're watching this to the end, you want to at least leave yourself enough, at least one tire full, because as you can see, one tire of mine is driving on the outside of the field, so that's not squishing down my field, compacting it. And we've got enough room to back up to do this whole thing here, so we won't have to drive over that. The other thing is you'd want to get your tractor moving first before you lower it. But since I'm still getting used to using my buttons on my steering wheel, I have to do it that way so I can't get stuck. But wheels right there. Raise it. Because then what that does is it gives you a chance to turn out into the field without hitting these hedges. And then I usually drive with 1 foot. Now, the edges of your fields will be compacted crazy, but that's to be expected. You still have to drive. But also, as I explained, or you can utilize what's called tram lines. Unfortunately, with tram lines, what the disadvantage to those are is you lose... Get my brake on. There we go. You lose so much of the... You know what? There we go. I could have went all the way to the end, coming down, which I think I'm going to. I'll show you. Tram lines, you lose, like every 6 meters, this is a 6-meter cultivator, you would have a row where you could drive, and you just never would plant on it, but you lose planting space. Up we go. And turn away. So it's round and round the merry-go-round we go. One tire on the edge. Now, if this was my field, if I was a real farmer, oops, wrong way, in this area, all of these birch trees would be not here. Hedges I don't have a problem with because technically you could drive your tire into them and it won't hurt. It'll squish them down. But these, as you can see, in real life, they grow just like this. And they impede on your field. If none of these were here, okay, you would literally have a nice little headland to drive around that you'd never plan on, you never take care of. And like these big trees, these big maple trees up here, you could leave those because they're just big and they grow off the ground like that and it never hurts anything. But these little baby poplar birch, I think they're... Yeah, these might be birch because poplar is white. They impede on everything. So if I was the farmer of this field, they would be gone. I'd be out here with a chainsaw cutting those suckers down. Bad. I'd be like, there's the firewood today. And they grow super, super hardy. Like they'll spread. They're not like spruce trees or maple trees or oak trees where you get one. You get like oak trees. Oak trees will grow, like they grow really, really long, like hundreds and hundreds of years. So do all trees for that matter. But oak trees, they don't. Here, get that up a little bit. They grow really big, but they don't grow like out. That's the word I'm looking for. She wouldn't go into gear there for a minute. See, the only thing that I'm doing that would be kind of not realistic is because of the fact that I have to spin the camera with these little 2 buttons. As I promised you guys, I was going to try to use my steering wheel as much as I can. You'd want to keep moving. You'd want to start moving a little bit. This turning around down here is going to be fun. All right, last pass on this, and then we will wrap this video up for our... I think we're episode 16 now. Is that insane or what? All right, see if I can do this the right way. That's how you would do it. So, anyways, the one subscriber was asking me, what's the first thing that you can do to start a realism series? And the first thing you got to do is you got to keep in mind, and then we'll wrap this up. You got to keep in mind your speeds, and Fs19 is their scales are completely out of whack. Like, for example, because we're going to shut this down here. You see how these hedges... Now, granted, I'm not from the UK, okay? And I don't know how big their hedges get over there. But if I was sitting in my tractor like this, let me come out here like this, I would be so far, like I'm just barely above them. I would be like this above them. It's like crazy. So anyways, like what you want to do is make sure that you research or ask people or ask myself or ask anybody who's a real farmer what the realistic speeds are. And you want to keep it at that. This field here should not be harvested in 1 hour. As you guys can see, in 31 minutes, now granted it was 5 minutes down the other field to finish that. So basically in 26 minutes, real time, we still have half this field, if not 3/4 of this field to go. And that's at 10 miles an hour. So the first thing you want to do is you want to adjust your speeds to what realistic speeds are. And then you want to adjust your size of your equipment for the fields that you have. Like, for example, this field's like 2.5 acres. I would not ever in real life have 6-meter equipment. Would not happen. This would be 3 meters, 2 meters, tops. But I did this because I don't want to be on a field when there's 200 and something fields on the map for 25 episodes. And as you guys can see, it takes, when you do it realistically, it takes a long, long time. Long time to do stuff. We're on episode, I think, 16 or 17. I'll have to check when I label it. And we still don't have any fields seeded. We're still cultivating and fertilizing and doing stuff on the first 2 fields. That's why I said, that's what people need to understand. I'm hoping that Farm Sim 22 fixes that. There's another field. This field, now see, this field is pretty darn good size. This is going to take us a while. See that? That big old maple tree. Might even be a hickory tree in real life. I don't know. Because the hickory has the serrated bark like that. Crazy. These Scottish pines are... Yep. My grandfather, who had the farm before my dad, I remember being 8 years old, and he planted on his property 65 acres of Scottish pine. And I remember going along as a infant, 9 years old, toddler, preteen, going bloop, seed, bloop, seed, bloop, seed, bloop, seed by hand, just to help my grandfather out. We planted 100, it was like 1,000 something trees we planted, and now, that was in 1984, and now I went up there last week, I think it was, and they're all like this big. It's crazy. Actually, that's a Scottish pine. They don't grow any limbs on them really low. We planted that whole 60 plus acres by hand. All right, everyone. So on that episode, now that I've talked a little bit, get up on my roof as I usually do. Always, always, always look out for yourselves, look out for each other, and most importantly, look out for each other's families. Make sure you guys are just please enjoying the night, the day, the weekend, whenever you're watching this, and just have a relaxing time. That's what these videos are all about. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and hitting the little ding-ding notification bell. And as usual, Fury Machine will catch everyone on the flip side.